all of you for this webinar. And we have with us the eminent speaker, CA Mridul Agrawal ji, and moderator CA Jitendra Vinod Verma ji. The moderator sir will be introducing to you with chairman, vice chairman, and the speaker sir. Over to moderator sir.
Thank you, sir. CA Run at the Rate Webinar Series 56. Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us for today's session of the Run at 100 webinar series. An initiative by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Board of Studies, Operation to Celebrate Excellence, Ignite Insight, and empower the next generation of finance professionals. Introduction of our chairman, Board of Studies Operational, CA Dr. Rohit Ruvatia ji. CA Dr. Rohit Rotia ji is an iconic Central Council member of ICI and currently serving as chairman of the Board of Studies Operational. Renowned for his visionary leadership, he holds the distinction of being one of the youngest ever managing committee member, regional council member, and central council member in ICI history. He has contributed for major initiative for inclusion of ICI name in Guinness World Record for the largest career counseling session. Led from practice की पाठशाला and the residential training for new COP holders. As chairman, continue to share policies and method of practice for CA professional and the aspiring student respectively. Dedicated to student empowerment, he is committed to modernizing CA education through digital platform, innovative learning method, and industry-related training, making him a key force in redefining the future of the CA professional. Now, introduction of our Vice Chairman, Board of Studies Operations, CA Sanjeev Sanghi. CA Sanjeev Sanghi, a seasonal chartered accountant with over 26 years of experience, currently serving as the Vice Chairman of the Board of Studies Operational, ICA. As a Central Council member, he is widely respected for his leadership in digital transformation, capacity building, and professional development. As a capable chartered accountant, he led impactful initiatives like UDAN and the Voice of Diamonds. He has actively contributed to various IC committees and held key positions in professional and social organizations. Known for his visionary approach, he is committed to empowering young professionals.
Physically, we always think about who we are, what we do, where we come from, etc. And we try to create a self image about ourselves. Now, what is this self image? Basically, it is the way we see ourselves and evaluate ourselves. It's a combination of beliefs, thoughts, and feelings about who we are, what we really think of ourselves as individuals, as people, as someone in society, as someone holding respectable positions in society. That is a self image we construct of ourselves when we see ourselves in the mirror. And this self image for us is very, very important. Why is it important? Because this self image determines who we are, how we behave with other people, and how much of a difference we can bring in society. Now, moving on, the the self image concept sometimes confuses people. And why does it confuse people? Is it's because it's a very complex topic, or rather it's made out to be very complex, but is in hindsight a very, very simple topic in itself, which should lead you on to more positive things. And to explain what self image is in more simpler terms, I have divided self image into four different components: physical, mental, social, and emotional. Now, what exactly is a physical self image? It's primarily concerned with your appearance and your health, right? So that uh, imagine that all of us are chartered accountants, and we are so busy in our professional lives. We are serving clients, we have ITR seasons, audit seasons, etc. And during this time, we're burning the midnight oil, trying to beat the deadline, trying to get the work done in the best possible manner. And in pursuit of our professional excellence, we start neglecting our health. And because of that, our eating habits go for a toss. We don't have too much of physical activity. We feel tired, we feel fatigued. That leads to a kind of negative self-image amongst many, many young chartered accountants, me included. So, what kind of self-image are we creating for ourselves here? It is a negative self-image. Now, let me give you my own example. Uh, there was once upon a time when I used to be a very, very obese individual. I had many unhealthy habits, binging on fast food. I was unable to even climb up a flight of stairs without without support or something like that. I would literally get fatigued by just taking a simple walk in my apartment. And in fact, it became so bad that once I was climbing a flight of a flight of steps around 4 or 5 floors in my apartment because there was a power outage and the lift was not working. And by the time I went up from the basement to the fifth floor, I completely collapsed. And that's when I started realizing that my habits had taken a toll on my appearance, and I started feeling very low about myself. So I decided that very day that I will change my appearance. I will change my bad habits and start focusing more on my health. Now, it's been 1 year since that day, the day I collapsed, and it's been a very, very rewarding journey of hitting the gym, eating healthy, and so much so that in the last 1 year, I've lost almost 18 to 19 kilos. And I've run almost 3 to 4 marathons in the last 6 to 7 months itself. And this I'm doing not to prove anything to anyone. I am doing this just because I want to I want to lead a more healthier lifestyle. I want to have a more positive self image about myself. So that's the physical component of self image. Now, what is this mental component of self image? A mental component is more about the self belief that you have about yourself, it's more about a mindset. And to be very, very honest with you, there are two kinds of mindsets which people have. One is that of a scarcity mindset, another one is an abundance mindset. And now, what is a scarcity versus an abundance mindset? To give you an example, uh, I run my own practice. I'm based out of Bangalore, and we have a team of members, and we have second rung leadership, and we have people working under them as well with different hierarchies. Now, imagine if I had a scarcity mindset, I would be, uh, I would be scared, and uh, I would be scared of promoting the second rung leadership onto the next level to partnership because I would be fearful that if I promote them to the partnership level, I would probably have to let go of a profit share from my firm. They could outdo me with my clients in terms of performance. That's scarcity mindset. But what is an abundance mindset in this example? Abundance mindset would lead me to promote them right at the outset, reward them for their meritocracy, increase their salary and profit share without having to worry about my own share because abundance mindset would lead me to get more and more clients rather than worrying about small trivial issues about employee promotions. So the scarcity versus abundance mindset is a long running debate which has which has shaped the self image of people. And only those with abundance mindset can really make a difference. Now, I'll be talking a lot more about this mindset in the next slide. Social self image is primarily dealing with your relationships with other people in the society, in your personal life, in your office as well. And if you have a great self image about yourself, you'll have great relationships with people. Whereas if you have a negative self image of yourself, you will have a bad image or a bad relationship with others. And lastly, it's all about emotions, how we feel as a person. Are we feeling really good about ourselves or do we really feel bad? And I can explain this component, the emotional component of self image, with the help of this example. Well, I'm pretty sure all of you have seen an image of this sort, right? Is there something wrong with this image? Can anybody tell me what is wrong with this image on the chat window? Maybe you can just type in your responses. I'm telling you there's something wrong with the image. Is there something wrong with the popular perception of this image? Right. So, as you can see in the image, you can see a lion who looks at himself in the mirror and sees a cat, basically a, a sister version, or a cat and the lion belong to pretty much the same cat family, right? But if I were to metaphorically speak and attribute this image onto our daily lives, it's as if we're all lions. All human beings are lions and we are capable of great things. But if we have a negative self worth, if we are looking at ourselves as incapable of doing something, we will just become like cats. A cat is not capable of doing greater things like a lion. That's the impact of a negative emotional self worth. Whereas in this image, the cat, despite being a very, very small animal and belonging to the lion, the cat, despite being small, despite having physical limitations, despite not being as big, as ferocious, as aggressive as a lion, is still capable of doing great things because it thinks of itself as being capable of doing these things. And ultimately, it's all about the mindset. It is all about the mindset, how you perceive yourself to be, how strong you see yourself in the mirror, and how positively you can bring changes to your personal life. And the more positively you can bring changes, the greater things you can achieve in life. Now, why does self image matter so much? Well, self image is very, very important because it impacts your confidence, it impacts your mental health, it shapes your relationship with other people. It also affects your motivation, success, and personal growth. To give you an example, and actually sticking with the example I gave earlier, I was a very obese individual, like I told about going to the gym, going for a run, eating healthy. There are so many, many sacrifices I've had to make with respect to food. Cutting down on junk food, not able to have burgers, not being able to have pizzas, not being able to have my favorite sweet during festivals. There have been a lot of sacrifices that I've been forced to do in order to be a more healthier version of myself. Now, because of that, I've been able to fit into clothes which I never would have thought of earlier. So from a double XL, uh, you know, from a double XL clothing brand to a medium sized clothing brand, that's been a drastic, drastic shift in the way I have perceived myself from a more physical perspective. And this has motivated me to do much better physically. At least I've been able to run a 10K, I've been able to run a half marathon, and my next target would be to run a 42K marathon, a full marathon next year. So because I've had a more positive outlook in terms of my physical health, I've been able to set much higher goals. So the point I'm trying to make is if you have a more positive self image, it contributes really, really positively to your confidence. It positively leads to more personal growth. And more importantly, you never know, it might just end up motivating the people around you. It might just end up, inspiring someone in your friend circle, in your relatives, in your family to take up some positive traits and habits just because you have done it. That's the reason self-image is so, so important. Now, many people out there are bothered by a very unhealthy self-image, and quite surprisingly, not many people know the difference between a healthy versus a versus an unhealthy self-image. Now, what is a healthy self-image? It's basically having a balanced, a realistic, and a growth-focused outlook towards life. And what's an unhealthy self-image? Being always critical about yourself. In spite of doing well, you keep criticizing yourself. You keep comparing yourself to other people. For example, uh, you set a target of earning 10 lakh rupees per annum. It's a very small target, but yes, you set yourself a target of earning 10 lakh rupees. But for whatever reason, you have just been able to reach 9 lakh rupees. Now, what will you do if you have an unhealthy self image? You will beat yourself. You will criticize yourself, saying you're not good enough, you're not fit to be in the entrepreneurial space, you don't have the capability to earn even 10 lakh rupees. That's a very, very unhealthy self image. But a person with an abundance mindset, someone who is growth focused, will say, hey, it's all right. Even though I set a target of 10 lakh, at least I've achieved 9 lakh. It's just the start. Maybe next year, I will set a target of maybe 20 lakh or 30 lakh, and I will end up achieving much more than that. That's called as having a growth mindset. And this is the fundamental positive attitude which people must cultivate. Now, there are a lot of distortions which people have in their mind about negative self-image. Now, what are they? Let's go into this in a little more detail. A lot of people talk to themselves in a very negative manner. This is called as a negative self-talk or having a scarcity mindset. To give you an example, let's say that you've been wanting to go to the gym to get in shape, but imagine you have to get up early in the morning at 6 or 7 or 8 a.m. to go to the gym, right? But for a vast majority of the population out there, it's very hard. Now, what's hard? Actually, not going to the gym, but it's about getting up in the morning and doing that consistently for 3 days, 4 days in a week. That's the biggest challenge. And what happens because you have that negative mindset? You will continue to be you will continue to be weak physically, you will continue to be obese, and then you will you will just go into the same cyclical loop. It's like having a new year resolution. On 31st of December you party to the core, then on the 1st of January every year we make a new year resolution. This year I will lose weight. This year I will get six pack abs. This year I will look like Hrithik Roshan or XYZ actor and actress out there. We take expensive gym memberships, we get into a very, very strict regimen, a diet regimen. We do this for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a stretch, and then after 3 weeks it's all back to square one. That's negative mindset. That is scarcity mindset, because we are not consistent enough, and we keep telling ourselves, we I was unable to do this. Why was I not able to go to the gym, etc., etc., etc.? And then throughout the year, we break that regimen and we become weak physically. The same thing can apply in different facets of life. It can be with your personal relationships, it can be at your workplace, etc. So anybody who keeps talking negatively to yourself will have a scarcity mindset. Now, is a what is the exact opposite of this? It's positive self-talk. Now, what do you mean by positive self-talk? To give you another example, let's say I earn 50,000 rupees a month. It's a very random example, and my expenses are 45,000 rupees. And with that, I have a surplus of 5,000 rupees. So what do I do with that 5,000? Person with a scarcity mindset would want to invest it or keep that in his savings bank account, which gives him probably a 1% or a 2% interest rate. But a person with an abundance mindset will probably be a little more aggressive. He may probably invest that into a fixed deposit or into the mutual funds or into the equity market, thinking of trying to grow his investment manifold rather than just playing it very, very safe and keeping it into a savings bank account. That's an abundance mindset. So the more positively you talk to yourself, the better things begin to happen. Next, many people fall into this comparison trap. They compare themselves with others, and they think that by comparing, you are doing justice to yourself. For example, I wish I was as fit as her. Whereas the other person always will be thinking, I wish I had a great career like her. So the grass is always greener on the other side until the time you reach that other pasture and find that, hey, where you were a step earlier was much better for you. So stop beating yourself with a stick, stop comparing yourself with other people. This is the biggest negative self talk that you can do, because each person has his own path. They have their own destiny, they have their own journey of life, and you cannot be like them always, neither can they be like you. For example, the KFC founder did not succeed at a very young age. He succeeded after he turned 80 or 90 years old and he became a billionaire. There are people who found success at a very young age. There are people who found success when they were very, very old. So just because the person who was old, if he started beating himself and saying that, hey, I wish I was younger, I could have done much more, he would have never attained success. So this is a prime example of why you should never ever compare yourself to others. Another example can be seen in this image where one person is looking at the other and he sees that guy having two girls with him, and he just has one girlfriend. Now, having two girlfriends might look like a very, very fancy thing to do. It might be a very, very cool thing in the Gen Z lingo, but can, is it really something this person would want? Well, no one knows. And the third distortion which people have about self image is this perfection versus progress mindset. Now, what do you mean by a perfection mindset? All of us want to be perfect in what we do. Now, what does perfection mean? If we fail, failure is unacceptable. If we are not good enough, or if something is not done to our satisfaction level, we will criticize ourselves to the point of even beating ourselves for not being able to do things. We will focus only on the flaws. We will try to shame ourselves into thinking that we are not good enough. I wish these things could have been better. That's the perfection mindset. Now, versus what's a progressive mindset or what's a growth mindset? Even if you fail at something, you don't get perturbed, you don't get disturbed. You think of it as a stepping stone to the next successful venture. Failure is inevitable, it will happen, but you will treat that as a more positive thing. And even if you've not been able to do enough, whatever you've done is good. You don't beat yourself with a stick by saying that whatever you've done is not good enough. You focus only on the negative side. No, you need to focus on the things that you can do to improve. That's a more progressive mindset. You are more compassionate with yourself, and you focus not just on the end result, you focus on the journey of becoming a much better person. So anybody with a progress mindset is going to have much better self image and is going to do much, much better in life than someone who focuses only on being perfect. Now, coming to a more practical aspect of how you can build a more positive self image or a healthy self image. Before that, are we all on the same page? Are all of you following whatever I have to say? All right, that's amazing. So let's try to focus on how we can build a healthy self-image. I think the first and the most important step that that we can take is by having positive affirmations and gratitude. Now, what do you mean by gratitude? Gratitude means to be grateful for what we have. Uh, I may have I may have a two-wheeler with me, but I'm happy compared to a vast majority of India's population who do not have any vehicle of their own, including a cycle. I at least have a two-wheeler to travel around from one point to another. There was once upon a time when I was a college student, I did not even have enough money to travel by public transport. But through hard work and through luck and blessings from God and other people, I was able to buy a two wheeler. And that two wheeler has been my partner, my friend for the longest of time. And with the help of that two wheeler, I've been able to travel from one end of the city to another. Now, if I were to beat myself and say, hey, I only have a two wheeler, I wish I had a car, that's a negative talk. And that does not lead to a very, very healthy self image about myself. You have to be thankful for what you already have. For example, you have food on your plate, you have a shelter, you have a roof above your head, you have clothes to wear, you have a loving family, you have a vehicle to move around, you're a chartered accountant, you're part of a very respectable and noble profession in society. You have clients, you have a well-paying job, you have a family that loves you, you have friends who can support you in times of need. Be thankful for that, because there are many people who don't have all of these luxuries in life. Wealth is not always luxury. It's time, it's family, it's love. Those are luxuries. Many people don't have family members they can call their own. They don't have friends who they can share days of joys and sorrows with. So you need to be thankful. You need to be thankful for the fact that you were able to wake up today and you were able to do whatever tasks you have set out to do. Though those are positive affirmations. Be grateful for whatever you have. That's the first step in building a healthy self image. Second, focus on your strengths, focus on your growth. If you have a diary or a journal, write down your strengths, whatever they are. You may be a good public speaker, you may be a great multitasker, you may be a great orator, you may be a great writer, whatever it is. Just write down those strengths instead of focusing on your weaknesses. People say, do your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's the best way you can analyze yourself. Well, it's important that you do a SWOT, but it's also important that you don't focus just on your weaknesses. You focus on your strengths also. Don't beat yourself for all the weaknesses that you have. Focus on your strengths. They make you who you are. And focus on converting those weaknesses into your strengths. That's the growth mindset. So, for example, I am I am terrible at writing. I can't write well. So, what have I been trying to do? I have been trying to improve my vocabulary over the last many years, so that I can write. I can improve my writing skills. For example, I've been a bad orator. By being part of multiple forums, I've been able to consistently improve my public speaking skills, and it's still a work in progress. So had I chastised and criticized myself for not being a good public speaker, I would have just remained very, very mediocre and average. But because I chose to focus on on my weaknesses and decided that, hey, enough is enough, I will improve, that has led me to take concrete steps in my growth journey. That is very, very important if you really want to build a healthy self image. Next is the mind body connection. Healthy self image is not just about how good you look physically, it's all about also how you think mentally. If your body is great, your mind also should be equally great, if not more. So how do you develop a good mind body connection? Try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, despite your hectic schedules. Don't try to work extra on the weekday and think that by sleeping in on the weekend you will have a great health. Sorry, that does not work. Try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night, uninterrupted sleep, so that your body will thank you at a later point in time. Try to do at least 30 minutes of physical activity every day. It can be anything. It can be walking, it can be yoga, running, go to the gym, or any other form of physical activity is good enough. Try to get in as much as possible every single day. Improve your diet. Try not to have too much of junk food. You can have junk food every once in a while, but don't make it an everyday habit. Try to have your fruits, vegetables, and whatever the dietitian recommends. So if you consistently follow these small steps over a period of time, you will start seeing incremental benefits, and slowly you will start building a very positive, healthy self-image about yourself. The next one, how can you build a more healthy self-image? Have boundaries with other people. Set healthy boundaries with people. You don't have to necessarily mingle with all the people. You don't have to necessarily say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. uh, your life is like a plate, and you can only take on as much as the plate can permit. If you try to overload the plate, you will the invariably the plate will the things from the plate will start falling over. And if you overeat, you will have a bad stomach. So learn to say no to certain opportunities and to certain people who drain your energy. That's very, very important. For example, uh, chartered accountants, young chartered accountants, especially getting into practice, have a need to take in clients because obviously they want to build their clientele and practice. And even if the client pays them less fees, which is not commensurate their with their skill, their experience, there's a tendency for a few young CAs to take in those clients. Now, while it's an intensely personal decision, what we have done is we have said no to a few set of clients who don't pay us commensurate with the time and effort we put in. And we have said no to a lot of clients because they drain us of a lot of energy and a lot of bandwidth. And by doing so, we have been able to focus on a good set of clients who pay us well for the amount of time and effort that we put in. That kind of helps us cultivate a very, very healthy and positive self image. And last but not the least, I think this is very, very important, and it's a continuation of the first point itself. There are so many targets that I hope to achieve in a day or even in a month or in a year, but am I able to achieve all of them? Absolutely not. There are hundreds of things which I have been unable to achieve. So does that mean I'm a failure? Yes, I am, because I've not achieved those things. But do I do I beat myself with a stick? Am I very hard on myself? Do I always say that, hey, you're a failure, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not capable of doing good things? No, I don't. If I've been unable to achieve certain targets, I don't, I'm not hard on myself. I'm very, very compassionate. I forgive myself and I move on. I say tomorrow is another day. I can take up some things tomorrow also. And at the end of the day, if I'm unable to achieve something, it's perfectly all right. Because in life, there will be some things which you will always miss. It's not always that you have to achieve 100%. Moving on. Can you guess who this person is? He's a very, very famous business personality. Can you give me the name of this famous person? Yes, you guessed it right. This person is Mr. Steve Jobs. Well, no prizes for guessing which company he founded. He founded a company called Apple in the year 1976, and he is one of the, or rather, he was one of the greatest innovators the world had ever seen. Now, why am I showing you his picture here? To give you an example, Steve Jobs founded Apple in 1976, but somewhere along the journey, because of some internal conflicts with his board of directors, he was thrown out of his own company, the very company he founded. And he was thrown out somewhere in the year 1985. So Steve Jobs, being who he was, he wanted to focus on innovation, went on to start a company called Next, which then later acquired another company called Pixar. Now, Pixar is that same animation company which made this very, very famous animated movie called Toy Story. And so much so that Pixar really, really became a very profitable entity. And Apple, the very company he was thrown out of, acquired Pixar and Next just so that they could get Steve Jobs back. And in the year 1997, when Apple acquired Pixar, Steve Jobs came back, and rest, as you know, is history. He went on to innovate and launch some of the greatest products that we have seen so far: the iPad, iPod, MacBook, and so on and so forth. So, this is a classic example of how a person, despite failure, despite being thrown out of his company, never gave up and was able to overcome that failure and become very successful. I'm moving on to the next person. No prizes for guessing who this is. This person is the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. And he's pretty much been in the news so far. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about him. Well, to give you a little backstory, Elon Musk is a South African by origin. He was an immigrant to the US and tech genius, brilliant innovator. He started his this company called PayPal, and he sold PayPal to eBay somewhere in the year 2002, if I'm not wrong, for $180 million. And what did he do with that money? He could have just, traveled the world. He could have had all the luxuries, but being the kind of innovator and tireless worker he was, he invested that money into companies like SpaceX, Tesla, and others. But as luck would have it, in the year 2008, when there was a financial crisis, the entire companies, all the companies that he was running, almost was on the verge of bankruptcy. He lost tons of money. In fact, there was a time he had to borrow money from his family and friends to pay his electricity bill, rental, even afford food. But as luck would have it, hard work and God's blessings, things turned around. And from 2008 onwards till today, all of us know how he has become the richest man in history. He did not let failure act as a stumbling block. Moving on to this person. Any guess who this guy is? Again, a very, very famous person in the field of science and technology. Any guesses? Yep. Yes, you guessed that right. This guy is one of the most famous scientists, Mr. Albert Einstein. Well, why am I sharing his picture and story with you? He is by far the biggest genius of his time, but in school, he was a failure. He he had grasping issues with respect to many subjects. He was unpopular amongst the teachers. He always picked up fights with his fellow students and teachers. He, in fact, dropped out of school. He could not get teaching jobs after he finished his studies, failed in multiple entrance examinations, and there's a history of failure and rebellious nature associated with Mr. Albert Einstein. But it's because of him that there have been landmark scientific discoveries, and that's why he's called the foremost genius scientist of our generation. Moving on, a slightly tough guess, but would anyone like to take a chance? Who is this very, very famous person? Would anybody like to take a guess? Well, no issues. This guy is none other than Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. Now, what's so great about this guy? I mean, why is his story so relevant to our presentation and my topic today? Well, since time is short, let me tell you, there's a very famous line associated with Thomas Edison. He did not invent the light bulb in the first try. Just like in CA, the gold standard is clearing in the first attempt, and even better is to get a rank, right? He did not well clear in the first attempt. He did not create the light bulb in the first attempt. It is said in his own words that he tried 1,000 times, maybe even 10,000 times to create the light bulb, and he created that on the last attempt, the 1,000th or the 10,000th attempt. And he famously went on to say this, that I have not failed. I found 10,000 different ways of how not to make a light bulb. That's positive attitude. That's a healthy self-image. He could have become critical. He could have gone into depression maybe after trying 500 times, after trying 600 times. But he did not give up because he had a firm belief in himself. He had a firm belief in his capabilities that he could do it. And he went on to give us the greatest invention of a lifetime, which is the light bulb. So these are some of the individuals who have gone on to show how positive self image, how positive outlook about yourself can do wonders. While building a healthy self image is very difficult to think about at the outset, it can be very, very challenging. How can you upstage all that you've been doing since a lifetime and become this epitome of a person? It's very difficult, but it's not impossible. If these people can do it, so can you. If I can do it in my chosen domain, so can you. There are hundreds and thousands of people who have drastically changed their lives for the better. If they can do it, so can you. It just needs a little bit of effort and push. So what can you do just to summarize the entire talk? I've just created this daily self-image toolkit so it becomes very easy for you. A step-by-step approach. Number one, practice daily affirmations. Like I said earlier, affirmations is positive self talk. Keep telling yourself that you are capable of doing things. Keep telling yourself, despite certain failures, that failure does not define you. Describe yourself in a very positive light. For example, I did great today. I can do better tomorrow. I'm good. I can be better. These are ways of talking positively to yourself. Please remember, you are your best friend. There's no one else who's going to come out there to help you. And your best friend deserves positive talk. So please talk to yourself every single day, very, very positively, very compassionately. Next, step number two, please keep a gratitude journal. Like I said earlier, there are countless people out there on the planet who do not have what you have. You may have a house above your head, you may have clothes to wear, you may have food on your plate, you may have money, you may have vehicle, you may have servants to assist you, you may have a great office, a loving family, friends, etc. There are people who do not have all of these. So be thankful to God for giving you all of this. Be thankful for whatever positive things you have in your life. Journal it, create a diary. Every single day, there will be positives and negatives. Imagine today you've had a very, very bad day, but just go recollect and write down whatever happened with you every single night. And I'm pretty sure there will be at least one positive thing that may have happened. But it's human psychology to focus only on the negative things. Don't focus on that. Focus on that one positive thing which has happened and thank God and thank yourself that this positive thing happened. Next, celebrate small wins. Now, what do I say a small win? For example, uh, you're a person who's very obese and who has done no physical activity whatsoever, and you've been eating junk all day. Well, don't just get up one day and say that I'm going to hit the gym from today. I'm going to give up all the junk food in the world. While you may be successful at it for 1 week or 2 weeks, post that it's not going to be sustainable. You cannot give up something you've been doing for years. You have to follow small steps. So start small. For example, start by going for a walk. Walk for 10 minutes. That's a great win. Celebrate that. The next day, increase your time from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. The next day, 20, 25, 30, and consistently go for a long walk for 30 minutes for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Then, probably after that, you can start jogging, and then you can start running, and then you can join a gym. This way, what will happen is you're not burdening yourself with too much to achieve, and you're seeing small, slow, incremental goals being achieved. And once you achieve these small things, thank yourself, celebrate that win, because you have taken the courage, you had the guts to even go out for a walk for 10 minutes. There are 90% of the people who have not even got out of their beds early in the morning to go out for a walk. So celebrate that small win. Maybe take a treat. It's all right. No problem. Next, surround yourself with positivity. All the gratitude journal, all the gratitude, the things that you've been grateful for, you've entered in your journal, will help you think positively. Even if you're surrounded by negative people, try to say no to them. Just keep your distance so that it does not affect your peace of mind. And last but not the least, take care of your body and mind. 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night and 30 minutes of physical activity every single day is something I would recommend to take care of your body and mind. If you can meditate, please meditate for as much time as you can. If you can start off by meditating for just 5 minutes, sit in a quiet place without any disturbance, I'm sure you will be taking good care of your mind as well as body. And last but not the least, if you have the time, please read this book called Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is a great book by this author called James Clear. It does not talk about achieving the biggest things in a very grand way. It talks about doing small things, bringing 1% change in your daily life. For example, 10 minutes of walk every single day. You increase it by 5 minutes every single day. That's a 1% change. Try to do small things every single day, and you will end up achieving big things after some amount of time. So this is my recommendation to all of you. So I think with this, I wrap up my session. If there is any questions that you people have, would be happy to take them at this stage.
अरे भैया नहीं है एलिजिबिलिटी अभी आपकी हिट हो गई वो कोई
Thank you.
नहीं है मतलब पुराना फैकल्टी नहीं है कोई बात नहीं काटते काटते
Moderator sir will be asking the question on behalf of the student.
Sir, my first question is, how does social media impact your perception of self-worth or success?
I think that's a very good question. Social media, very honestly, sir, is the artificial world, because what a lot of influencers show on social media is not the reality. What they show is what they actually want to tell people, and they want to get maximum likes and maximum followers. But behind, in actual reality, what's happening, no one knows. So for all the people out there, you may want to use social media judiciously. Don't get carried away by what is shown on different platforms like Instagram and Facebook. Follow your own path and journey.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next question is, what are some early influence, family, school, peers that shaped your self-image?
Can you repeat that, sir? I lost you there for a second.
What are some early influence, family, school, peers that shaped your self-image?
Okay. I think in my personal case, I think I can give you the example of a person who lives in my apartment. He's a runner, and he was a very obese individual earlier, and he really transformed his life by going from obese to a very healthy individual, and he's run marathons and he's done a lot of physical achievements that way. So that person was my inspiration to bring a turnaround in my life.
यहाँ पे
Uh,
इसको बताना है कि तुमको टैक्स
so next question is, in what ways can self-awareness help you handle failure or rejection more positively?
I think self-awareness is very, very important because, like I said in during the presentation, you should do a SWOT analysis of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Once you do that, you become more aware of where you stand, who you are, and what your strengths and weaknesses are. Once you have a better understanding of that, you can take concrete steps to overcome your weaknesses and enhance your strengths further. So, self awareness is very, very crucial. I would strongly suggest all the viewers, all students and individuals to do a SWOT analysis. You can do a Gallup assessment test if you want to really analyze yourself and where you stand as an individual.
So next question is, why is it difficult for many people to expect compliments gracefully?
Why is it difficult for people to
Difficult
accept
for many people
compliments?
to expect compliments gracefully.
Uh, well, it depends from one person to another, but I think when someone compliments you, don't let that compliment get to your head. Be humble in your behavior, gracefully accept it, and just move on. In Hindi, there is a saying, for those of you who understand, "Neki kar darya mein dal." So do good things, and don't dwell on that for your entire life. Just do good things and let it go. Focus on doing good for other people, and if anybody compliments you, just take it in your stride. Don't develop horns that you've done a great job.
The next question is, how does a strong self-image connect with integrity and ethical decision making?
You think that's I think there's a direct correlation between self-image and uh, behaving more ethically, because if behaving ethically is very tough in today's world, and chartered accountants are the forebearers of the finance function in the country, and there are codified rules for professional ethics for CAs, but I'll talk generally in terms of self-image. Since being ethical is very difficult, and you need to have integrity to be honest, you need to have integrity to be morally right and ethical. And unless you are having a positive self-image about yourself, you will not be able to be ethical. So to give you an example, uh, giving a bribe, if you have, let's say, jumped a signal while you're riding your car or a two-wheeler because you're in a hurry, right, and you get caught by a traffic policeman, many people in India would like to find a shortcut by, let's say, adjusting with the officer or trying to bribe him or for whatever XYZ reason. This is wrong and this is illegal, but it still practically happens. But if you are a person of strong morals, strong character, you have a strong self image about yourself, you will accept that you have made a mistake. You will pay whatever fine that you have to pay for having committed that mistake, and you will promise yourself that you will not commit that mistake. How many of us can do that? There are very few people.
It is time to for the closing remarks, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, CM Mridul Agrawal ji, for this insightful and power-packed session on Master the Mirror, building a healthy self-image. You are truly shown us that beyond just crunching number, it's how we communicate them that drives real decision. To all our participants, thank you for your presence and enthusiastic engagement today. We hope this session will assist in a positive manner on said topic. Let's continue the spirit of learning as part of the Run at 100 webinar series and take every opportunity to grow as future ready CA professional. Until next time, take care and keep running. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you to respected faculty and the moderator for the wonderful session. We also thank you to all dear students for their active participation in the session. We also thank to our chairman, vice chairman, sir, for taking this initiative. Students are requested to please join the run series every Tuesday and Friday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. to learn and grow. Please, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We can leave.